Hello and welcome to my website. I'm Juan and the website is wa6htp.com. wa6htp is my amateur radio call sign. I've created this website to operate well with workstations, desktops, laptops, and iPads, anything with a halfway decent screen, fairly large size. I'm assuming your screen resolution is 1920 by 1080 pixels, which is very common, and that you're probably using Google Chrome or maybe Microsoft Edge. My visitor stats tell me that 97% of all my visitors are using Google Chrome and only 2% use Microsoft Edge. Both of these browsers work perfectly with my website. You'll find that Google Chrome has a few more features that are not available with Microsoft Edge, but they're almost indistinguishable. Everything I have on my website is divided into 4 broad categories on my menu. The first is amateur radio projects. The second is helicycles, which is a experimental home-built helicopter kit, turbine-powered. The third is all of the careers I've gone through in the 50 years I've been working before I retired. You'll find the common thread through all of that stuff is aviation. I spent 5 years as an aircraft mechanic for United. I've spent 5 years flying on a NASA research airplane called the Kuiper Airborne Observatory. 2 years in South Korea as a field service rep for Raytheon. Operating and maintaining one of the electro-optical sensors on the Lockheed U-2, and another year doing similar work for the Royal Air Force as one of 4 Americans on an RAF base. Because of my television news background, I've also managed to snag 2 flights with the Canadian Snowbirds in a 9-plane formation over the San Francisco Bay. I've flown at Edwards Air Force Base in a T-38. I've gone on 2 refueling missions with the SR-71, and I'm probably leaving a few things out. I've got a lot of flying videos in the helicopter category from flying my home-built helicopter. So lots of airplane-related stuff in there. Other projects, I've done a number of things that don't fit into the other categories, just projects that I've taken on because I had an interest and had no experience in that area. And so that's how I learn. I take on something that I know nothing about and then try and make a success out of it. So you'll find everything bunched under those 4 major headings on my menu. There's 3 ways that I present all this stuff to you. The first is videos, and I have, it looks like 6, 12, 13, I don't know, 20 videos maybe, something like that. I've got 51 slideshows with a total of 628 images. So the bulk of the stuff I have on my website is going to be slideshows, as you'll see. And then I have 29 PDF files with over 400 pages of information there. I'm going to spend a little bit of time showing you how to get around all of those 3 different modes. We'll start with videos. So you've already gotten this far because you're watching my video. So you've got a rough understanding of how the menus work up at the top in that blue bar. You've managed to click on the play button in the middle of the big thumbnail that comes up when you select a video. And you may or may not have noticed that little icon in the lower right. See that? I'm pointing to it with my white arrow. That will toggle you in and out of full screen mode. In its current configuration, it's meant to resemble an expanding rectangle. Let's go ahead and click it. Now you'll see that the same icon looks like it's a contracting rectangle, and what that's telling us is this simply toggles you in and out of full screen mode. As I said, everything that I've done is designed to be viewed in full screen mode. So here we are in full screen mode. You may or may not see the controls down at the bottom and that useless information up at the top of the screen. If you hold your mouse still or mouse off of the screen completely, all of that stuff will go away. But while we're here, I want to point a few things out to you. The first is that all my content is hosted by YouTube, as you see in the lower right, and it's all high def. One of my videos has had over 26,000 views on YouTube. And so I think because of the amount of traffic that I generate on my YouTube channel, they have finally elevated me to the point where all of the content that I put up is rendered in high def. That didn't used to be the case, and the quality wasn't very good. Now it's excellent. So thank you, YouTube. And of course, you probably are familiar with the controls for YouTube. You can change the volume, you can pause it, you can back it up, go forward, etc., etc. If you don't move your mouse after a short pause, all of that clutter will go away. Now you can watch the video in peace, only looking at the video full screen with no distractions. That was my goal, and I think I've managed to accomplish it. So that worked out really well. If you get to the end of the video and you don't bail out halfway, which you can do by clicking the icon which will get you out of full screen mode and expose my menu and also your browser controls. If you don't do that and you get to the end, once the video ends, you'll be presented with a number of suggestions for other things to look at on my YouTube channel. If you click on any of these, it will take you to the YouTube channel and you will no longer be on my website, which is okay, but you'll have to navigate back using your browser. So that's pretty much it for videos. It's pretty simple. You toggle in and out with that little icon, and everything else is pretty automatic. So now let's look at slideshows. Got a lot of content, like I said, over 600 images. Here's a couple screenshots just to give you an example of all the stuff I've got on my website. Pretty much everything I've ever done that I think is interesting. I hope some of it will interest you. So when you pull up a slider, it will show up like this. And again, we have an icon on the right side of the screen. This time it's up at the top. And it's the same idea. This will toggle us in and out of full screen mode. So let's go ahead and click that and see what happens. Now we're in full screen mode. Incidentally, if you're not in full screen mode, you will not even be able to see the controls down at the bottom. They'll be off the bottom of the screen, so you can't navigate the slideshow without going into full screen mode. And since we're sitting on the first slide, you can see in the middle, we're on slide 1 of 53, and our only choice for navigating around is to go to the next slide. There is no previous slide because we're on slide 1. Once we get into the slideshow, then you'll have a previous button on the left and a next button on the right, so you can go backwards and forwards. And it will tell you you are now on slide 23 of 53. If you decide that you're not that interested and you want to get out, just click the icon in the upper right. That will take you out of full screen mode, and now you'll be back where you have access to my menu and also to your browser controls. When we get to the end, there is no more next. Instead, you'll see a menu button. And when you click that, it will take you right back where you started. just like that. So that's it for slideshows. Now for PDF documents, and we're almost done. Actually, there's quite a bit to PDFs compared to these other two. So when you first access a PDF file, it will come up like this. You can use your mouse wheel to scroll up and down, and you can view it this way, but you cannot zoom in. Well, you can zoom in, but it just pushes the page off the screen. You cannot get out of that box. So you're trapped in that little box, and there's no controls to do anything much except use your mouse wheel. So there's no reason to stay here. You're going to want to click the icon in the upper right, which is not a toggle this time. It will only take you out of this mode into a PDF viewer. And so here we are. Now we're centered up on the screen, and all things are possible now. If you don't see any controls, wiggle your mouse around a little bit, and these things will pop up. Notice down at the bottom you've got a simple little control panel with a plus, a minus, and a magnifier in the middle. And then up at the top you've got some more things you can do. See that big yellow arrow? I'm pointing up at tab number 2. So unlike the other two modes, when you go into this PDF viewer, it opens a second tab on your browser. So that first tab has left us right where we were when we first went to look at this file. We can always drop this right in the middle, switch over to tab 1, and we're right back where we were. You could leave this, say you got to page 3 and you decided to take a break. You could then either open up a fresh tab and do whatever you want, or go back to tab 1 and you'll be back on my website. So that's kind of a neat way to do it. So there is no more icon in the upper right. It only got us to this point, and it served its purpose. Now that we're here, we can do several things. I'm pointing at an icon in the upper right. That will allow you to print this document. This icon will let you save it to your hard drive. You can also use the controls down at the bottom, and I think the magnifier in the middle is the most useful. If you click that, you'll go to full screen width. Not a full page on the screen, but a full screen width. You can also use the minus and the plus to sort of incrementally increase or decrease the size of the file you're viewing in that viewing area. There's other controls here that are used for collaboration. If I was generating a document and working with an editor, we can go to Google Docs, and there's some powerful tools there for editing. You can do some other crazy stuff like save this file to a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. I have no idea what that would look like, but all things are possible. However, I would not appreciate it if people were editing my content and redistributing it somewhere. That would be nasty. This is my intellectual property. You're free to look at it, print it, save it, but don't edit it and redistribute it, please. And that's it. That's everything you need to know to get around my website. I hope I've kept this short and haven't bored you, and I hope you'll stick around and find something that interests you on my website. If you do, if you have any comments, suggestions, complaints, there's my email, juan@wa6htp.com. And one last thing, I have gigabit Ethernet on fiber right into my house for the first time. So I've got really fast Ethernet and everything downloads very quickly. I don't know what the experience is like on my website for other people that have slower connections. So if you find it's really annoying and you're sitting there watching some hourglass go round and round for a long time before anything loads, please let me know. I can try and go back and compress some of these files and make them a little quicker. So I have no way to know how big a pain that is unless you guys tell me. So thanks for coming to visit. I hope you find something interesting on my website and you stick around for a while. And if you get the urge, send me an email. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.